prison officers joined the national protest last week against violence and safety in the town's jail. The officers were part of a nationwide demonstration against increasing violence in UK prisons. Lewes has suffered from prison riots recently, the latest in October. Angry football fans from Lewes have hit out at Southern Rail after last-minute cancellations left them stranded on Friday in Falmer. The fans had gone to see Brighton play Aston Villa at the MX Stadium, only to find that the trains had been cancelled because of staff shortages. Southern Rail apologised for the chaos. A row over white poppies has boiled over following last week's service at the War Memorial. A wreath of white poppies was laid at the memorial on behalf of a group of Lewes citizens. The flowers later were removed. The Royal British Legion objects to white poppies, saying they are disrespectful. And Thomas the Tank Engine has been given his marching orders from Drusillus Park. The popular ride will hit the buffers in the spring to make way for a new modern attraction worth £1 million. Toot toot! Bye, Thomas.
Just over the river and next to Tesco is one of the biggest recreation areas in Lewes, Malling Field. Home to dog walkers, site of the Waterloo Society's bonfire, but also home to someone who may be less familiar to you, the Queen of Play. Each weekday morning, Ruth Smethurst gets a group of enthusiastic movers together to have fun getting fit. So Ruth, why do you call yourself the Queen of Play?
It's a title I've taken on more recently because I discovered how irreverent I was towards kind of what's a social norm within my industry. So I like to bring fun into what I do and to have a laugh. And if something gets too serious, I kind of do the, okay, bored of that now. Something really has to inspire my humour, and kind of that little giggle inside. And if I'm there and I'm doing that, I'm interested. Yeah. So I want to bring that to fitness stuff for people rather than that go hard, go home, slow kind of attitude. I'm like, you know what? This should be fun, engage your whole body and really make you love what you're doing. Yeah. And I like to bring that to everything I do within my work. So Queen of Play, why not?
Absolutely. And you don't believe in no pain without gain?
I believe in no pain, no pain.
Excellent, I like it. So where does the silliness come into it? Apparently you like to be silly.
I do like to be silly. Again, it's that bringing an element of, this is not so serious. Don't take yourself so seriously. Yeah. And the more seriousness you put on, so there are some serious things in life, but the more seriousness you put on something, the heavier it feels, the tighter it feels. And when it comes to moving your body, everybody wants to feel lighter, freer, more mobile, more agile, and that comes with a sense of being that way in your heart and your mind as well. And so to bring playfulness in allows you to not have the threat of, I'm getting it wrong, oh my gosh, I did the wrong thing, I didn't do the right thing. It's more a case of actually enjoy what you're doing, make a fun game out of it, and you actually learn more in your brain neurologically and in your physiology, your body. Play, really important for body learning.
So I'm with Fiona and Fliss, who have just done the fun class with the Queen of Play. And Fiona, what was it like for you?
I tell you what, I'm so surprised that I'm here in all weathers. I've been coming for 3 years and it's just so much fun. I love that the Queen of Play makes fitness fun.
Excellent.
Brilliant.
Fliss, have you seen any changes in your life since you've been coming to this class?
I'm definitely a bit more cheerful than usual, and just noticed an improvement in my mood and fitness over the course of the day.
So on a Monday morning, come rain or shine, you're here. Are you in the skate park?
Usually, illness of children barring.
So for a lot of people, the idea of hanging out in an exercise class might make them want to run for the hills, but like a lot of things in Lewes, this one has an added twist to it, which might make it that much more appealing. Karen Dobray, Lewes, Chalk TV.
Christmas Pud, the very name evokes spicy smells and tangy tastes, and nowhere more so than at Ouse Valley Foods. Based in Piltdown, East Sussex, Ouse Valley Foods produce fine handmade preserves enjoyed across the UK and in Europe. Founder Julian Warrender is as much an artist as a businesswoman, always up for a new creative challenge.
The start of Ouse Valley Foods was a chance conversation. I where I was buying asparagus from a good friend of ours who's got a farm just outside Uckfield. And I happened to say to him, you know, wonderful asparagus, but wouldn't it be fantastic to have that delicious hollandaise sauce to dip it into? And he said, well, why didn't you make some?
Her range is vast and tailored to the season.
Food is as we know, a pleasure to every sense. I also love the visual impact of food. And I guess one of the things I find interesting was to challenge the concept that things in a jar were actually rather dull. You couldn't tell the difference in a row of jams or chutneys.
Today she's making a batch of her award-winning Christmas pudding marmalade.
I am prepping the fruit, slicing it through a slicing machine. It makes a bit of a racket, but I'm going to feed them into the funnel and it'll magically come out all nicely sliced. So here we go. So what I've done is we've cooked the peel, the orange and the lemons in water. I'm heating it up now and I'm going to put sugar in it. Some people say that you need to warm the sugar first. I don't think it's necessary at all. There is a reason why there has to be that amount of sugar. It's both a preservative and it also counterbalances the acidity of the fruit. And this will be ready for the final stage, which is cooking it in smaller amounts so that, again, it sets quickly and you don't make the mistake of overcooking it. On with the gas, onto nice and high. No need to be afraid of the height of the flame. It's just not cooking it too long. Okay, now the marmalade's come up to a really good rapid boil. And this froth on the top is indicating that it's achieved the heat we need. This is the most wonderful mixture. It's a mixture of dried fruits, glacé cherries, currants, and really lovely plump golden sultanas. And they've been soaking in brandy for about 4 or 5 days.
Adding to numerous accolades, Julian recently won a Sussex Women in Business Lifetime Achievement Award. At this time of year, there's no better way to pep up a dish than with a dollop of deliciously spiced preserve. But I'll be in a pickle if I don't get a sample back to our executive producer, Keith.
This week's busker is a talented young guy from Iford called Henry Gerard. What are you doing for us today, Henry?
I'm doing one of the first songs I've ever written called Needlework.
Great.
After this van. Did it start abruptly, or did you plant the seed? Or are you feeling feeble, weak at the spoon and the needle? Get what you came for, did you get what you paid for? Stripped by the craze, Lord. Running through the alleyways, back of the cat's invisible way. Now that you tried your best, it's all over your hands and onto your west. Ah, the lies too bright, my dear. Maybe you coax you in with promises of whispering in your ear. Did you go for the scheme of working as a team? Did you get the substance that he wanted? Then did he turn mean? Ah, yeah. Running through the streets, ah, yeah. Crawling on your knees, ah, yeah. It's what you choose, it's on your shoes and on your shoes. But you're going way too slow. You got to pick up the speed, pick
think it's worth a quid, don't you? Shelley Collins is one of the great names in British folk music. In the 1960s and 1970s, she released a string of highly acclaimed albums. Now, 38 years on, this Lewes resident has released a new album to popular acclaim.
Hello, Norman.
Hello, Shelley.
Good
Nice
to
to see
you. Come in.
Thank you.
Do come in.
38 years since your last album, Shelley. It's a bit of a gap. What's brought you back to recording music again?
Well, I've slightly recovered my voice because for a great many years I couldn't sing at all. I lost my voice in the late 70s, early 80s. With a bit of encouragement from certain friends, I mean, the most notable person was David Tibet of Current 93. He tried to persuade me to sing, and he asked if I would sing on one of his concerts, and I said no for about 5 years. And then just under 2 years ago, he asked me once more if I'd sing on a concert with him. Just 2 songs, he said. And I said yes.
You're now in the national charts for the first time ever.
Yes, I wish I hadn't told you that. But no, I mean, I have been surprised because my voice isn't the voice it was. But in many ways, a lot of people say they prefer it because, there's age there and sort of wisdom and
Yes.
Well, there's always been sincerity in my singing, I know.
And I understand that you recorded the entire album here in this house.
We did, in this very room. We did the Morris dance in here with 2 people, John Watcham and Glenn Redman from Brighton Morris. And
Inside the house?
in here, and Glenn was dancing his solo jig. Now you can see there's quite a low beam there, and he was doing great leaps, and I mean, he just missed the singing by about that much, so that was a bit of a scary moment. But what was lovely here as well was that when we recorded Cruel Lincoln, and we had all the windows open at the back onto the bank, and it was just full of birdsong that day, and we recorded the song, and then when we played it back we could hear all his birdsong still on the track, it was there, and we all said, this is gorgeous, it's got to stay on.
What is it about old English folk songs that so attracts you and has done all your life?
I think it was sort of born in me because I heard people singing at home, heard Granny and Grandad and Aunt Grace and people singing at home when I was a kid. And we only had the radio to listen to in those days. And they played traditional songs. Now sometimes they were sung by baritones or tenors with piano accompaniment, and I thought that was fairly ghastly even then. And then there are other ones that were played by and sung by traditional singers. They were field recordings, and that music just sounded wonderful to me.
Now, very famously, when you were in your young days, if I can put it that way,
yes, of course.
you went to America and you went around a tour of the Deep South with Alan Lomax, who of course was very famous for collecting indigenous music. Did that change your view of life or music very much?
Well, in a way, of course it did, especially sort of meeting the black performers, who were singing blues. They were singing songs from before the Civil War. They were singing slavery songs, they were singing their spirituals. To just be surrounded by it for days and days and days was absolutely incredible. It was great to go into the Southern Mountains as well. We went into the Appalachians and the Ozarks in Arkansas, and I mean, there the people just sang a lot because it was still late enough, or still early enough for, the radio, television and the big music industry not to have quite infiltrated into those mountains, which were still quite isolated. So I was able to sing back to those singers the versions of their songs that I knew from home, and they were so delighted that the songs were still going where I came from. But the greatest discovery we made, of course, was Mississippi Fred McDowell in Como in Mississippi. We'd been at the Mississippi State Penitentiary for 5 days recording work songs and blues there, and that was a return visit from Alan. He'd been there in the 40s. I mean, there's one lovely story from there as well, that one of the work songs that Alan recorded, Paul Lazarus from James Carter, was used a great many years later in the film Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? It was part of the soundtrack, and it was on the CD of the soundtrack, which sold millions of copies almost straight away, and rightly so. It's a great film. And the Lomax people traced James' family, and they took him to the Grammy Awards and presented him with his first cheque of $20,000.
Fantastic.
I know, it's wonderful. There's, some justice in the world. Well, Leadbelly, for instance, got ripped off. Lonnie Donegan apparently wrote all Leadbelly's songs back in the 50s, wicked behaviour.
So, you've got an album out, you're in the charts,
yes.
You've got the newspapers all around you. What next for Shirley Collins?
You've got me flummoxed. I don't know. All I've got to do is sort of hang on and survive.
Well, you're surviving very well. Thank you very much,
Thanks,
Shirley.
Norman. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Was that it? Was that the end?
I think so.
Tonight, in the studio of the White Hart Hotel gym, I had the pleasure of meeting Naomi Clark, a successful yoga teacher with a particular focus on Bikram hot yoga.
People know Bikram yoga as being the one with the heat, but it's classical hatha yoga postures as passed down to Bikram from Vishnu Ghosh. All forms of yoga you might hear, maybe yoga for cyclists or yoga for runners or yoga for men or post-natal yoga. It's all yoga, it's all the same. On the eight-limbed path, we have many aspects that come under the name of yoga, but really what we understand as being yoga in the West is physical yoga, it's hatha yoga, it's moving the body, and breathing exercises, pranayama. My practice is a lot softer and a lot gentler and a lot kinder than just hot yoga. So I bring elements of the meditation and of the other styles that I've practiced and been taught myself into the Bikram method.
I think with Naomi's class, the best thing about it is that anybody can come and work to their own ability. I found with some other yoga classes that it's geared to one specific level, whereas here there's people of all levels doing it, people who can really challenge themselves and can do really amazing advanced postures, or there's people who have injuries and they're just recovering and nursing themselves, and it's open for everybody and everyone supports each other, so it's like a little community within ourselves.
Naomi's classes take place here in Lewes every Tuesday and Friday. She offers an initial free class to anybody that wants to give yoga a go.
It doesn't matter how stretchy you are or are not, it doesn't matter how fit you are, how old you are, whether you think you're in good shape or not. There's something here for everybody. We've got a really, really lovely community of committed hot yogis here. Most people find when they leave here they feel quite relaxed and smiley and happy, and whatever injuries they have just feel a little bit softer.
I spoke to Naomi about what her vision was for the future of Lewes and its yoga community.
I know that in Lewes at the moment there is no specific yoga centre, and I'd really like to see one put on the map for Lewes, and to have a place where, whether you're practicing Ashtanga, Vinyasa, Yoga Nidra, meditation, whatever kind of yoga practice you have, that becomes a hub for all of us to come together and to support each other. Because yoga, just like anything, can become very tribal. And if you were asking 10 years ago, you'd never find a Scaravelli teacher going to a Bikram method class. People would be like, oh, I'm a this or I'm a that, and that's where I belong. But really, there's a lot of cross-pollination going on at the moment with the different styles, and I think we're all becoming more informed and a lot kinder to ourselves by taking away that specific determination of what yoga tribe you belong to or not.
Whether you're looking to get some more exercise in your day-to-day life, or you have an ache in a muscle or your mind, Bikram hot yoga is right in the heart of Lewes, and there's always a floor mat to spare. This is Daniel Davis at the White Hart Hotel Gym for Chalk TV.
Sometimes there is a crime of such severity that it is no laughing matter. Such a crime is murder. This week the trial continued of an 18-year-old man who is facing murder charges at Lewes Crown Court for exactly that crime. Crowborough man Ben Bamford is charged with murdering 52-year-old senior civil servant Paul Jeffries at his home in Mayfield last February. The two men had met on a gay dating site and had had a relationship for several months before the attack. The Crown alleged that Bamford was heavily in debt to a local drugs dealer and tried to get the money from Jeffries. The police report said that Jeffries had been the victim of a ferocious knife attack. The case is continuing at Lewes Crown Court. A Maresfield man has gone to jail for 6 months for attacking a woman in Uckfield. 26-year-old Walter Doe pleaded not guilty to common assault, but the court rejected the plea and imposed a jail term. Doe struck a woman in the face after a verbal dispute, knocking her unconscious. Although the woman recovered, the court heard that Doe had a history of violence and that children were present at the time of the attack. The National Police Inspectorate has given the Sussex Force a rating of good in its latest examination of the county constabulary. The examiners praised the police for utilising its reduced financial income while keeping people safe as well as reducing crime. Sussex Police have consistently got top ratings when inspected.